Hey guys, welcome back to yet another guitar lesson, yet another video about R&B guitar, about Neo-Soul guitar. And today I want to talk about one chord, which is this one. Okay, I want to explain this chord, I want to understand why some people call it the Neo-Soul Dominant Chord, and I also want to show you a couple of interesting variations of this chord. So first thing first, how do we play this chord? We place one finger on fret 8 of the low E string. This note is called C. We don't play the A string, so the little finger goes on the 8th fret of the D string instead. Okay, this note is a B flat. Then the second finger, the middle one, is playing the 7th fret of the G, which is a D, and the first finger, the index, is playing the 6th fret on the B, which is an F. So let's respell it again. C, B flat, D, F. Okay? Now, some of you that might be more experienced maybe already recognized that this is a B flat triad, a B flat major. Okay? B flat, D, F, root, major third, fifth. Okay? But we put on the bass the note C, which obviously doesn't belong to the B flat chord, and if you think of this note from a B flat perspective, that would be a second degree. It's quite rare, quite unusual to have the second degree on the bass, I would say, so possibly there is a different explanation to it. So although this is a B flat over C, for sure, we can think about the function of this chord, naming it from the note on the bass, so from the C, okay? So in this case, if we analyze this chord from the C point of view, from the C perspective, obviously C is the root, B flat would be the flat 7, D would be the second degree, the 9th, and F would be the 4th, okay, the perfect 4th. So we can think of this chord as a dominant 7 chord, okay, because there is the root and there is the minor 7th, but there is no third, so there is no major third, and when we don't have the third, guys, we call these chords sus. In particular now, this is a sus4 because we do have the 4th here, but we also have an extension, which is the 9th, and the 9th is this note here, the note D. So this chord is a C7, sus4, root, minor 7th, perfect 4th, okay? Add 9, or with the 9th, okay, which is the note D. It's also an omit 5, which means that it doesn't have the 5th, but this is not big news because, you know, very often when you play a dominant 7 chord or many extended chords, you take off the 5th, okay? So if you want to name it properly, say C9 sus4, okay, if you like it, or you can say C9 sus4 omit 5. However you want to say it, it's also a B flat triad with the C on the bass. So the function of this chord is a dominant function. You can use it as your 5 when you want to resolve to 1. Okay, this sounds really good when you do it. Now, when you think of this chord this way, there is a trick that you can always use on guitar, which is really simple. Every time you have the root of the chord on the low E string, like the note C on the fret number 8 of the low E string, you find the 1 of the key, so the note that you use as the tonic to resolve to in this key, just one string below, same fret. So, for instance, if I play this C9 sus4, the 1 will be the note F. So for instance, I go to an F major, okay? So I play, which sounds like a 5-1. A more modern way of playing a 5-1 compared to just doing this, okay? Which is a little bit less interesting, I would say. And that's why it's so common in R&B and Neo-Soul guitar, and some people call it the Neo-Soul Dominant Chord, because every time we have a dominant 7 chord, we often like to play it like this, or like one of the two variations that I'm about to show you. Variation number 1 would be moving the first finger 1 fret back. Really interesting sound as well. Now, if we drop this note, if we move it 1/2 step back, we are moving the perfect 4th back to the major 3rd. Now, we did say before that when we don't have the major 3rd, and we do have the perfect 4th, that's called sus4. And if instead you take off the 4th and you get back to your major 3rd, you just take out the name, the part sus4 from the name of the chord. So this is a classic C9, okay? It is still an omit 5, but we know that this is quite common. So again, C9 sus4, or simply C9 if you stretch your first finger. first option. Second option is starting from here and stretching not just the first finger, but also the second finger and getting this, which is a chord that I really love, and it adds lots of tension, which, as we know, it's the actual function of a dominant 7 chord. When you do this, you're actually playing a C7 flat 9. Because you've got the root, you've got the -7, you've got the major third, so 1, 3, 7 is there, obviously still omit 5. And now rather than having the major 9th, you have the flat 9, the minor 9th. So how do you spell it? How do you call it? C7 flat 9. Okay, now guys, this chord that we started from, as well as the other two options or variations, could be played on guitar in different positions, of course. We're not going through them today, but just try to experiment on the fretboard, because you can find the same chords in more places. Now, one final advice, obviously feel free to move this position that we started from all over the fretboard in different keys, and anytime you're looking for where is the one of this dominant chord, you just go one string below same fret and you find it. For instance, if I go here and I play an A9 sus4, the one will be a D, okay? And remember that you can always call it as this triad plus this note on the bass, like an inversion. But if you want to understand the function of the chord, always think of this note as the root, and this will be the 5 of the key that you're playing, or the 5 of the chord that you're going to if you're using a secondary dominant. Right guys, hopefully this all makes sense. If it doesn't, feel free to leave any question you might have in the comments below. If you want to support the channel, you can find more resources, including diagrams and tabs for these chords on my Patreon page. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next video.